Welcome to the Overland Sea podcast where we talk shit about Chelsea. This is the Liverpool pre-game podcast where you are joined by me, Matt, and my little brother, Andrew. How are you doing today, Andrew?
I'm good, thank you, Matthew. How are you?
Matthew. Before we talk about the actual Liverpool game, I feel like we actually need to talk about the whole Caicedo stuff that's been happening today, considering Liverpool are heavily involved in that situation now. I know that you're a big fan of Caicedo and that you've been wanting him to join the club pretty much at least half of last season and all summer. So tell me about your thoughts and your feelings about what's happened today.
It's been a rollercoaster of emotions today, if I'm honest. Slightly upset about the price that we were going to have to pay for him at the start of the day, and then more and more depressed throughout the day as to we're not getting in. I'm very excited that we were getting in, and then concerned that our fearless leaders decided to start bidding more than Liverpool, which was already an acceptable bid.
Did that actually happen though? Because I've heard so many different stories throughout the day. I don't know what to believe.
Yeah, there's been a lot of in out, shake it all about all day. It's been a bit of a weird transfer story, the weirdest one that I can remember for a while. But I think if by some miracle we pull it off, because I'm seeing reports that are saying Brighton absolutely won't deal with Chelsea and he's either going to Liverpool or he's staying. And I'm seeing reports that are saying as long as we bid the same amount or more than Liverpool, they're still happy to send to the highest bidder. It's all a bit of a mess. And quite frankly, the thing that has annoyed me about the whole situation is the fact that if we were willing to bid £100 million for the bloke, we should have just bid £100 million for the bloke 2 months ago and avoided all this nonsense. I don't really understand why we've played hardball for so many months, knowing that we're not the only team in the Premier League that needs a defensive midfielder at the minute.
But have we not played hardball because of the financial fair play? Do you not think that's the only thing that I can think of? Because of financial fair play, we've been playing the hardball card.
I mean, that is the only reason to.
He's not worth 110 mil. At the moment, he's not worth 110 mil. Like, he's great, but he's not worth 110 mil.
No, but we've caused our own problem by paying such a ridiculous fee for Enzo Fernandez. None of the players that have gone for over 100 mil this summer are worth it. Fernandez, great player, isn't worth over 100 mil. I don't think there's a midfielder in the world that I think is worth over 100 mil. Purely on the basis that, one, I think it is one of the most important areas in football. I think having a solid CDM is incredibly important. Scoring goals is the most difficult thing to do in football, and therefore that is the most expensive position. I don't think anyone that's not getting over probably even 30, probably 40 goals a season in all comps should be anywhere near 100 million. So it's a difficult one. I understand from financial fair play position, it's problematic. I haven't looked at the numbers in depth of what the 600 million, now close to probably 700, 800 million spending spree is going to cost us a season and what we have to cover a season. But
we recouped 230 million this summer.
Huh?
We recouped 230 million this summer.
And I don't know what of that hits the bottom line. Obviously, the whole of the amount one does. And there's a few others that there's a fair chunk of money that hits the bottom line. Kovacic will be one. We're going to sell Hudson-Odoi for 8 million. That's all hit the bottom line. So I think
Kai Havertz, I think.
Kai Havertz we've sold, but we signed him for 72 million on a X amount of year contract. I don't know how much of that is left, and therefore how much of it we have
Fair,
to.
fair.
I don't think for this season financial fair play is that much of a worry, but I think they're now looking at in future years we have to cover X amount of money every season. We don't have that many homegrown players that are worth that much that we are willing to sell to cover that. Bearing in mind we don't have a sponsor at the minute, which is ridiculous.
Well, one's supposed to be announced imminently, apparently.
But we keep hearing this, and then all of a sudden there's a problem with them, with the whole thing. We had Paramount at one point, then there's a problem with it. So
Paramount made sense in terms of why there was a problem with it. Like, it makes sense why there was a problem with Paramount, whether we like it or not.
I can understand the Premier League position, but I think there's a hell of a lot worse sponsors out there than Paramount Plus. I get that it might potentially annoy the US broadcasters, but they don't have to show the game if they don't want to.
Well, no, it's not that, is it? It's just the fact that they just don't want to be promoting somebody else. That's all it is. They don't want to be promoting another US channel. That's it. But you know,
I mean, one, don't show the game, and two, a lot of them promote the other ones anyway if they're paying for it. It's just they're not the ones that are getting the money to promote Paramount. That's the problem. But I think it just doesn't. Yeah, obviously as a biased Chelsea fan, it doesn't mean anything. I don't think that should be a problem. I don't think we should not be able to have a sponsor because hypothetically, whoever has the broadcasting rights this year might get slightly annoyed. When there's no reason they have to show Chelsea games. They can choose not to show Chelsea games if they choose to do that, and it might reduce the amount of money that they're willing to pay next season. But let's face it, it's not going to reduce it that much.
Going back to my original question though, with the whole Caicedo thing, do you think he's worth getting him in? Do you think it's worth paying any amount of money to get him in? Or do you have a cap where you would say, right, that's ridiculous, we need to find somebody else? Because you've spoken to me a lot about him.
There obviously is a cap because signing for 400 million, for instance, would be utterly ridiculous. I don't think he's worth as much as Declan Rice on the basis that there's the English tax. You have to have 8 English players. Having one that'll be in your team for the next 10 years is unbelievable. And that's probably why we sold Mason Mount for the amount that we did, even though he had only 1 year on his contract. But I think in terms of playing ability, they aren't a million miles apart. So I can understand paying a similar range. I do think there should be a discount because he's not English, and therefore there is less of a value to him because he's not one of those 8 players you have to have, which isn't easy when there's 20 teams in the Premier League that all need very high quality English players. So I think what's more reasonable is 75 million, and part of that is because I think Declan Rice was overvalued as well. I think I struggle to value Declan Rice at higher than 90 million, and even that's punchy. And if he's at 90
how much?
Then 90. And like I said, I still think that's punchy. I think Caicedo, in line with that 75 max. But bearing in mind that Casemiro went for 60 million last year. I know he's a lot older, but he's more of the finished article. Yeah, it is a lot. It's more than I would want us to pay. But I think both Chelsea and Liverpool are incredibly desperate for a CDM. And therefore the value is, the price is high. It is going to be high. Brighton are in no need to sell. They've sold McAllister. They don't need to balance the books. They don't buy anyone for a lot of money. So the price is what the price is, really. I wouldn't want to go.
I kind of feel. No, I get that. I mean, I kind of feel like football players now a bit like. Do you remember NFTs? I mean, I know they've dropped dramatically in value since they sort of flurried over the last 2 years or so. But it is literally about how much that player is worth to you. How badly do you want it? You know, and he just signed a new contract. You know, I mean, to put it bluntly as well. I mean, do you remember when you remember when we used to collect football stickers? For me, it's like collecting football stickers. There were certain ones where it's like, right, this is a shiny, so I'm getting at least 2 players, if not 3. If you had the FA Premier League trophy, you were giving as many stickers as you possibly could to get that sticker because they were so, they were hard to come by in a pack. It's the same principle in the sense that it's like, well, we've got a gem, we've bought it for 4.5 mil. Whatever we sell him for, we're going to make a profit. And they're then going, well, you've already spent 105, 106 million on Enzo Fernandez. Granted, he did win the World Cup and was voted the best young player of the World Cup. I do still think we overpaid, but at least there's a reason behind why we overpaid. He also scored a couple of, 3, I think, cracking goals from long range. Declan Rice has been on the scene for a while. He just won a European trophy with West Ham, albeit the C League of European trophies. But he's been on the England internationals, and he's been solid ever since he started playing, in the West Ham first team.
I mean, I slightly disagree with that. I just think he's improved drastically year-on-year rise. But, I mean, from my opinion, it is silly. Like, the transfer fees are ridiculous. Bear in mind, Caicedo's a player that I think, maybe 2 years ago they bought for very little money. They were paying him 3
4.5
at the start of last season. And they basically offered him a new deal that extended the deal, I think, after January. And they turned down £80 million bids for someone they're paying $3,000 a week. And that obviously I have some investment because I'm a Chelsea fan and I want to sign this player. But I think effectively holding a player to ransom that because you've signed him on a 5-year deal from, I don't know the bloke's background, but my assumption would be that he doesn't come from a rich background in Colombia. He signed a deal for $3,000 a week because that for him at the time was a lot of money. Brighton do deserve a fair amount of profit on the basis that they've taken a risk on this bloke. They've nurtured him into someone that is an incredible footballer. Admittedly, a lot of that's his talent, but they have given him an opportunity. But I think holding players I think there should be either maximum cap based on what someone is paid, or I think there should be if we reject a bid of X amount for you, we have to at least pay you 5% of that a year. Completely off topic, cut this out. But in summary, I think he very much makes our team a lot better. I think we kind of desperately need him. I don't know of any players that will do the role that we need of CDM better than he will, more certainly than he will. There might be other players in Spain, etc., that come in, take some time to get used to it, and then show that they're good. I think because of his Premier League experience, he will very much hit the ground running. I don't think he'll need too much time under Pochettino to get used to our system. And I think he obviously walked straight into the first team. and can play in our team for 10 years. Comfortably, we 31. So for those reasons, I don't think it's an obscene buy, but no, he's not worth 110, 111 million because I don't think there's a midfielder.
But he could be. And that's the thing, isn't it? He could be worth that.
It could be because of inflation in football and what we've seen in transfer fees over the last 10 years. So that might become far more prevalent as a transfer fee. But I don't think at this period in time anyone is worth 100 million that plays in midfield. And I don't think that he will improve to be a player that right now, with the current rates that we're talking about, I don't think he'll be worth 100 million because I don't think there's a midfielder that's worth 100 million. With inflation, then yes, maybe because transfer fees have gone up exponentially in the last 10 years, in the next 10 years, he might well be worth more than 100 million at some point. But I think that's all meaningless. And I think for me at the minute, Chelsea can't really care about money. I think we need to care about putting 11 players on the pitch that are better than at least 16 other teams' best 11s. Because we need to get back in Champions League. And I think he very much will help us do that.
I agree. I agree with that statement. Champions League is definitely the main priority. Do you not think that there's anybody else that can come in to do that role to a very good level? Because I've always had somebody in my mind that I thought was a lot more achievable with regards to purchasing than Caicedo. I know you have too, to be fair. So
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that plays the DM role to a high enough standard and is almost guaranteed in terms of has Premier League experience of a couple of years in a good team. I know there's a few players that are touted in terms of Onana at Everton, there's Decore at Crystal Palace. I haven't seen very much of them. And maybe they will be better players than Caicedo. But Caicedo's the one that I've seen in the Premier League play that role and can do a job. There's probably some great players in Spain. There's probably some great players in Italy. But I think with those, you're also looking at a fair amount of time transitioning to the P&L to the Premier League. Whereas I think Caicedo is the most likely to hit the ground running. I think that's what we need. I don't think we've got time to have another off-season. I think, bear in mind all the other players that we've bought that may or may not adapt well to the Premier League, I don't think we can afford to keep buying more players from all over the place that haven't really played together, may well be a good player, but we haven't seen them in the Premier League.
So you're saying pay the money?
I think at this point we just have to. I think we look foolish either way. Whatever we do at this point, we look stupid. Whether it's because we dallied too long, or whether it's because we then got a player that wanted to join us, and then we cut out. I think either way we look stupid. And I think he's our best option to be better on the pitch next season. So I
did like the fact
if they want 10 million more, we start playing silly buggers. But I think if we're able to match Liverpool's offer of 110, 111 million, I think we should have to at this point. Get it done. Get him in.
I did like the fact that when the bid came in, the first thing that I said was, I will be really interested to see what he does. Because the bid's been accepted by Liverpool, and he's been saying, I want to come to Chelsea, I want to come to Chelsea, I want to come to Chelsea. And I was like, well, he's got the chance to move to a big club. Whether I like it or not, they are a big club. So I'm really happy to hear that he was like, no, I don't want to go to Liverpool. A, because I don't like them. And B, because obviously he'd been saying all summer he wants to come to Chelsea. No, I agree. I think we're at a point now where either we pay the money or we find somebody else. I've always been a big fan of Kessie. I think it's achievable because Barcelona need money. I think you're looking at about 50 million, I think I've heard, to get him, which I don't think is too bad. He won the Serie A with AC Milan. I think, did they not win the La Liga last year, Barcelona? So, back-to-back league titles. He's got experience in the Champions League. So, yeah, that's who I would go for. And also, I mean, I don't think we'd get him, but what was the Aston Villa player? Was it Douglas?
Luiz.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Douglas Costa or Douglas Luiz. And he's a good ball player.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think they've also got a replacement, actually. They signed someone last year that I was very impressed that they managed to get CDM, and I forgot his name right this minute.
Yeah, I think Villa are going to. I think Villa are going to do quite well today, this year. Again, they finished on such a high. It's just whether they can handle the European football for me as well.
Done another absolute masterclass. So he was at Sevilla for a number of years, very highly regarded. He's gone to Villa, and I think he's pulled off an absolute masterclass. Pau Torres, Diaby.
Pau Torres is a steal. How no one else is going in for him, I don't know.
They just pulled off a few deals under the radar, but they signed Tielemans on a free. I don't know how they got Tielemans on a free. I don't know why we weren't in on that. I'd have had Tielemans in on midfield.
I don't know why a lot of big clubs weren't in on Tielemans, to be honest.
They just seem to have done a lot of very, very astute business under the radar, and they seem to now have two players in every position that are at least Europa League quality. So,
yeah,
if anyone slips up, they're right there.
I do want Ollie Watkins, though. Like, I won't lie. I don't think they'd sell him. I don't think he'd come to us because obviously he's got the chance to play Europa League, which we can't offer. But if I was to sign a Premier League striker that I thought was doable, it would have. Well, actually, Ivan Toney would have been one as well, but he can't play. So yeah.
I'd still sign
But
I probably would have.
Yeah, no, he's an option. He's a good option. He plays a different role. But in terms of style, in terms of stylistic, in terms of how we play, I think Watkins would suit our style of playing very, very well.
I think Watkins and Jackson are quite similar. I think Mitrovic would give us a different option.
Oh, I'm not saying no to Mitrovic. I'm saying I'd take both, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say. We're just buying too many players. We've got too many players. We just don't have any midfielders.
But I think in certain positions you need options. I think with strikers, if you've got strikers that offer different things, different styles of play, then it's good. There's lots of teams that have won the league with multiple strikers. City did it the first time with 4 strikers. United, when they won the treble, they had 4 strikers. So,
when United won the treble, they were playing 2 strikers every week.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but they still had 4 strikers, Andrew.
But if you're only playing 1, you don't need more than 3. You don't need more than 3.
I'm not saying we need 4 strikers. I'm just saying that they had multiple strikers and it worked. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and having a squad of 47 probably does work if you need it to.
Well, it doesn't because it didn't work for us last season, did it? And we weren't far off having a squad of 47.
We had and we had affordability, and everyone was new. If you've got a bedded squad that's 47 players, it probably will work.
Probably. Right, moving on. Because I can't remember how much time we've got on this app. It's either half an hour or an hour. So,
let's fucking hope it's not.
Happy days. Your thought coming into the first game of the Premier League season, obviously at home, we're going. Excited. Haven't been to the bridge in about 2 years. So what are your thoughts coming into this game? And then, what is your starting 11?
Yeah, I had a feeling you were asking that. So thoughts going into the game, still apprehensive. I think I've got PTSD after last season.
I think we all have. Ronnie won't watch games.
That were not particularly enjoyable. Liverpool also have been on fire in front of goal in pre-season, but leaky in defence. I don't know how much you should really read into pre-season, but I'd probably read in far too much. So I do think there'll be goals. I'm not entirely sure what we'll come out with. I kind of have a bet with someone at work that basically, if Liverpool don't win by 2 or more goals, if Liverpool don't win by 2 or more goals, he brings in sweet treats for the team, and if Liverpool win by 2 or more goals, I bring in sweets for the whole team. Which probably one is a negotiation masterclass because we're at home. So if we lose by more than 1 goal at home, I'd be very, very upset. But also probably shows how confident I am in Chelsea not losing this game after last season. I think we are fitter. We've got more of a chance than we would have had going into this game at the end of last season. But there's a lot of new players. There's a lot of players that have only been there for 6 months that haven't really performed as well as I think we've seen them perform before, or haven't performed to the level that we expect. So apprehensive. In terms
Win, draw, loss. Come on, win, draw, loss.
I predict a draw. I think it'll be 2-2, if I'm honest. And that's about as optimistic as I'll be. In terms of first 11, I would probably go. Well, Pochettino's come out and said Kepa's is number 1, so Kepa's going to be in goal. I don't know how much.
To be fair, I think the defence at the moment kind of picks itself. Like, I'll be amazed. I'll be amazed if we don't have the same goalkeeper and the same defence. I'll be amazed.
I think personally, long term, I see it as Sanchez. I think Kepa at the start makes some sense because at least he played with some of these players before. Back 4, I'm going Chilwell, Colwill, Silva, Reece James.
100%.
Midfield, I'm going Enzo. I'm going. I think I want Andre Santos in there for some reason. And then I'm going Conor Gallagher at Cam.
Right.
I'm playing Ian Matson on the left, and I'm playing Mudryk on the right, Jackson up front.
Why are you playing Mudryk on the right?
Because
He doesn't play on the right. He only plays on the left.
he can play on the right because Matson's left.
Can he?
And I think Matson's more.
Well, Matson played on the right in pre-season, and Matson was outstanding on the right in pre-season.
I didn't see him on the right in pre-season at all because I only watched the highlights. Part of me thought about playing in Cam. I wanted him out to my team, and I think left mid makes the most sense. I also think that defensively he can do a very good job on Trent and bail people out, Juan, Jota, etc. I think on the other side of the pitch they'll have Salah and Robbo, and having a bit of pace with Mudryk will be better for Robbo. I don't know how quick Matson is, but he'll be as quick as Trent. Because Trent's not obscenely quick; he's semi-quick. Robbo's quicker.
Fair.
So that's what I'm going with. What would you do? Changes or the whole team?
I agree with the back line. throughout pre-season, a lot of people have been discussing about whether we play Reece James in midfield next to Enzo, and I've been against it. I've been against it because I was like, if he's going to be captain, which he is, and congratulations, Reece James. Truthfully, I thought Thiago Silva would get it. Reece James as vice, but I'm not against it, and I'm not against Chilwell being the vice captain either until someone gets injured, in which case I really hope it's Thiago Silva and they don't mess around with that.
What do you mean until someone gets injured? What, until both of them get injured?
Well, let's face it, Reece James and Chilwell have not had the cleanest seasons recently.
I think that's fair. I think Thiago Silva.
I'm not being. We've had this conversation before. I'm not being funny. I love them both. They're great, but for me, I'm like, if I love the fact we got Gusto. I think Gusto can do a great job there. I'm skeptical about the left because for me, if Chilwell gets injured, then I feel like Maatsen needs to drop back, and I like him, but I think he's such an intelligent ball player, and I think he is a threat going forward. I think it's a shame for him. I don't want Cucurella doing it, and I think Lewis Hall needs to be loaned out.
Honestly, defensively is the point because he was playing left wing the whole pre-season, so I don't really.
Who?
Maatsen. I don't know if he's going to leave a slight suspect at the back.
I can't hear you. Say again.
I don't know if Maatsen's going to leave a slightly suspect at the back because I haven't seen him defend. He's been playing left wing most.
Okay. Before I give my full 11, if hypothetically speaking, Chilwell's injured, who are you playing at left back?
I mean, it is Maatsen. I just don't know that.
Oh, right. Okay.
Defensively, I know that Cucurella defensively is pretty shocking at times.
Shocking. Yeah. Enzo is definitely in the midfield for me. The midfield for me is the hardest one. You know, I mean, I think Casadei is going to Leicester, so he's out of the equation. Although I've been very, very impressed with him. A lot of people have been talking about playing Chukwuemeka in there somewhere. If I was going to play him, I'd actually play him next to Enzo, just because I like his strong running from deep. But I have to agree. I'd go Santos just because we know he's happy to hang back and it'll let Enzo move further forward, which I think is a plus for us. Connor for me has to be in there because I like the press. You know, he runs box to box. He gets involved. He makes options.
I think also, unless we play a winger in centre attacking mid, we don't actually have anyone else. There's a problem. You could play Mecca there at Cam, but I think both of us would prefer him slightly deeper in a similar role to what we think Enzo's going to be playing this season. So unless you play Mudryk there, I don't see anyone else really fit. And because I don't want Sterling to play,
I think he'll play though. Even though we both pretty much got the same team, I play Mudryk on the left because I think he will cause Trent Alexander-Arnold problems in the game. I really do because he caused him problems when he made his debut. He absolutely terrorized him for like that 20, 30 minutes that he was on the pitch, maybe even 15. Terrorized him. And I would play Maatsen on the right. And I'd have Jackson up front, especially because Nkunku is injured. But that's the only difference for me. I'd swap round Mudryk and Maatsen because I think Mudryk will cause Trent Alexander-Arnold nightmares.
Yeah, to be honest, I think you're right because what I had completely forgotten about in that minute while trying to make Maatsen as comfortable as possible is that Trent Alexander-Arnold does not defend inside. He lets anyone run inside. He defends the line. And I think...
He barely did that last season.
No, I think...
He was awful. He was awful last season.
To be fair to Trent, I think defending along the line, he is a very good defender. He just lets people go inside him far too easily. I think...
No, I agree. Last season, though, he was awful.
Fair. Agree to disagree. The thing that I have been thinking about though is combined 11. How many Chelsea players are getting in that team?
Okay. In that respect, I would have the Liverpool goalkeeper. I'd have Alisson in goal.
Yeah,
I would have Reece James at right back
yeah,
because he actually can defend.
yeah. You were preaching to the choir on that.
I would have. Would I have Van Dijk? But then again, would I have Colwill? I think you'd have to put Van Dijk in.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was in between
he's
Silver and Colwell.
not well. Silver for me is in.
I think one of
I love Silver. I mean, Christ's sake, I've got him on the back of this shirt. The hard one for me is Robertson or Chilwell.
I am going Chilwell purely off the.
I'd go Chilwell.
I don't like Robertson on the pitch. I think he's a nice bloke off the pitch. On the pitch, I don't like the bloke, and it's my team, so I can be as biased as I want.
No, I agree with that. I think he's an outstanding player. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with
One
you.
of those that you love to have
My midfield.
play against, and then
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
stuff I think he does.
Midfield. Considering Nkuku's injured, I would have McAllister in 100%. I mean, I don't even know what midfield they're going to put out, to be honest. But I would put Enzo in there because that would partner up quite nicely with McAllister. And then, do you know what? That third midfielder, I would be doing a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1. Yeah, I don't know about that third midfielder yet. Bear with me.
I think
up top,
Dominic Sloboslai. I mean,
yeah, I do think he pips it. I had him in my head, but I was just trying to think if there's anybody else, and that's no disrespect to Liverpool. It was just more, is there another Liverpool player? I mean, Harvey Elliott can play there as well, and do you know what? I do rate him.
as well.
I do rate him.
Actually.
Huh?
There's no with Thiago as well. I think it's Enzo. I think Enzo gets in, and then I think it's two Liverpool midfielders, whoever they pick. I don't think Conor Gallagher gets in their team. I don't think.
No, I don't.
We've got,
No disrespect. I don't think he does.
and then I think front three is all Liverpool. Maybe long term.
No, I disagree with that. Actually, no, go on. Actually, before I disagree, who's your front three?
Do you know what? I think there'll be four Liverpool players that probably get in there. Definitely, I'd have Salah, Jota, Luis Diaz in there before.
I forgot about Jota. I did forget about Jota.
Nicholas Jackson might end up being better than them. I think Gakpo's come in and he's done well for Liverpool, so I think that pushes him above Nicholas Jackson at the minute. Mudryk, and I don't think any of the Chelsea players have done enough since they've been at the club to really warrant being above those.
Fair.
There's an argument even for Darwin Núñez.
I wouldn't play Darwin Núñez. He will play, but I wouldn't have him in the combined 11.
I don't think he starts, if I'm honest, tomorrow. I think they'll start Gakpo. I assume it will be Salah, Jota, Gakpo tomorrow. On Sunday, sorry.
I was thinking Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah.
Yeah, I genuinely think Jota needs
Not Diaz.
team.
No, Gakpo.
Is incredible for that.
Not Diaz. Sorry, Gakpo. Yeah, no, Gakpo, Diaz, and Salah. Yeah.
I think Jota plays for them. Whether he plays up front and Gakpo drops out, or whether he plays out wide and Diaz drops out for you. But I don't think that there's anyone. And like I say, Nicholas Jackson, Mudryk could have great seasons, be very good players this season for us, and at the end of the season, be in that team. But at the minute, I don't. There's no proof that they deserve to be in that team. Yeah, and generally I had four Chelsea players getting that team, and I think two of them Liverpool fans would argue quite heavily in Reece James and Chilwell. I think they would argue quite heavily.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, of course they would. Everyone they love Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah,
I really can't say his name today. Trent Alexander-Arnold. TAA. They love him, but I'm not being funny. I'm not. People can call me biased, and that's fine. And there was one point where it was neck and neck for me. It really was neck and neck, and I think Trent did pip it because of his. I think he was a little bit crisper with his crosses. He had a better long range shot, and his free kicks were sensational. For me personally, he has lost it on the defensive side. Last year, it could have been a horrific blip, and I will say that because we've all seen it.
I think the last couple of years,
But yeah,
he's been fragile, and I think
he doesn't look interested in defending anymore.
there is a part of that actually. There's been a lot of clips of him not sprinting back, getting beaten. I think Van Dijk's injury and subsequent not quite at the same level that he was before has kind of exposed how much
100%.
Trent. I think it's difficult to argue more than four Chelsea players. Very, very difficult, which is worrying going into the season. But we are the wild card this season.
Yeah, but it's
a lot of unproven players.
But it's early doors. Like you said, you summed it up. We're wild card. We've brought in so many players. So many players have left. It's
with a new manager that plays a different style of football and they look a lot fitter than they did last season. So,
100%.
It's not a definite law. We're not definitely losing, but I would edge the tie in Liverpool's favour slightly. Also, off the basis that
I'll give you that. I personally don't think if we lose by one goal, it's the end of the world. If we play well and we lose by one goal, I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah. I think it's a shame that we're playing them first. We've got a great run of games after them, and I'll be a lot more worried about if we're not winning those games. I think first game this season, new manager, just want to play well and not be embarrassed, basically, after last season.
Well, I predict in the first 6 games, we should be getting at least 11 points.
That's at least 10. On the basis that if we lose 1-0 to Liverpool, it's not the end of the world, but we should win 5. We should win the other 5.
West Ham, I just think it's a tricky one. I'm not saying that it's. I'm not saying I've played it safe. I played it safe with that. I've gone bare minimum. We draw against Liverpool at home. We draw against West Ham away, and the rest we should win.
Right.
That's me playing it uber safe.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think how we play against Liverpool will obviously then kickstart that trajectory. Like I think even if we play really well, but just fall short against Liverpool, I think that puts us in a really good standing against West Ham.
Yeah, it does.
But if it's a weird game, nothing really goes anywhere, and it is just a silly draw, and it's a frustrating game, I then think, how are we going to bounce back from that?
I don't think it will be. I think bare minimum will have a lot of energy, and I think Liverpool's attack is very good. I can't imagine there's not many goals in the game, and I think we'll at least give a good account of ourselves. But I think we're a long way away from the finished article, and
a
bit of time to blood everyone in. And really fire on all cylinders offensively. But
do you think Poch knows? Do you think Poch knows his strongest starting 11 yet?
No.
Take the equation that Nkuku's injured. Take that out of it. If he's fully fit, do you think he knows his strongest 11 yet by any shape or form?
I think as long as I think he probably does of the players that are fit and he's seen. I think he probably does, just because there's not that many options that he can pick. There's not that much quality.
Well, he does want a small squad.
Yeah, at the minute we kind of do have a small squad, especially with the injuries. I just don't think there's that many options when you actually look at the players that we want to stick around that aren't being talked about potentially being loaned out. I think it's the team kind of picked itself. Maybe I think centre backs are still a position where there's a few of them injured. We've just signed this Dizazi guy, so it's kind of up in the air who will be the best in a few months' time. Midfield, we just don't have any options, so I think realistically that picks itself. And then Jackson up front picks itself. Then you're just talking about wingers, really. And at the minute, we've only got Mudryk, Sterling, and then Ian Maatson that can play there that are fit. He might decide that Madueke's better. Like, he wants Madueke in the team. I think a fit Madueke I would potentially put in that team, depending on how he comes back and how Ian Maatson does in the interim. But I think a lot of the team kind of picks itself at the minute. And it's only when we get a couple of midfield. He does want more players. He wants certain strength, and especially midfield, where we've got a lot of inexperience. He wants some experience in midfield.
Well, I heard he wants 4 more players, and I've also heard we're not signing Tyler Adams before we came on to do this.
Yeah, and to be honest, he's a good. For me, Tyler Adams is a good squad player, but I don't think he improves us drastically. I just don't know who we are going to sign. It is just midfielders.
Do you want Lavia?
On Lavia. I just don't know much about.
Do you want Lavia?
I don't know much about him. I know he scored a very good goal against us last season, but outside of that, I'm struggling. I know we really wanted him, but that was before we had any actual football people at the club picking who we were signing. So I don't. Yeah, he's probably better than what we've got at the minute, but at the same time, does it make sense to buy players that are slightly better than what we've got at the minute, that then block and Andre Santos if we're happy with him, we really like him, and the club seems to really like him, or a Cesar Casadei who's won under 21's Golden Boot and player of the tournament. Is it worth buying then another 20-year-old that just better than the minute because he's a year older? No, I think we do need to switch to a strategy of buying players with some experience and that will help the team, and also not block them in 3 years' time when they're actually starting to hit peak. So I think
I'm glad you said that. Because we've been linked with Verratti again.
Yeah. So I would be very happy if we signed him, but again, it depends on the money. If it's 30,
70 mil?
Huh?
70?
That's a ridiculous amount of money. It's just silly. Like, how old is the bloke? 29?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, give or take. 28 to 31. That's my bracket. It's about that.
30. 5th of November, so it's 30 months. How many years has he got left? 2, 3, 4 max, and he's probably that.
No, I agree, but with that,
so punchy.
But with that, you're bringing experience, and we've got a lot of youngsters around there, and that for me. I'd be going, actually, if you're going to buy a player that you know is only going to be around for a little bit, get what you can from him. Look at Thiago Silva. We bought Thiago Silva, and look at where he's gone now.
Thiago Silva was the best in his position for a number of years, or if not the best.
One of.
The best. Won a fair bit in his career that wasn't just the French title and the French Cup. has.
Oh no, he was a beast in Milan. I mean, that's why they signed him. He was an absolute beast and a captain, a very young captain for Milan.
Silva.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. I don't think Verratti, the experience that Verratti has, yes, okay, I think he's won a Euros, he's probably in that team, and he's just won the French Cup and the French League. I can't remember what team he was at in Italy before he moved to PSG. He must have been at one of them, but I think he moved to PSG quite young. And I don't think he's necessarily the right type of leadership. He's a bit of a hothead. I think there's a lot of drawbacks to him, but he is an elite player in his position. And for 35, 40 mil, I could understand the transfer. Don't think he's a significant upgrade on Kovacic, who is younger. And I 70 is ridiculous. Bear in mind, he plays for PSG and we'll have to pay him a stupid amount of money.
So to summarise, you're going to go with. We'll continue the midfield options in a later podcast. I think that's the best way forward. So to summarise, you're going to go with 2-2.
Yeah, I think it's my best shout. If I'm honest. What are you going with?
I can't remember if I said it or not. I think a draw is a decent result. I had 1-1 in my head. But I'm thinking after the conversation that we've had, that might be too low. I think you're right with Liverpool's attack. So I'm going to go with 3-3. And if someone wins, I think it could be Liverpool 3-2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a
But I think it will be a draw. I do think it'll be a draw.
Yeah.
I'm just worried about our midfield.
They've been leaky at the back and also scored a lot of goals. So it is a difficult one. But pre-season is very different to the Prem, and obviously the rotation going on means that maybe I haven't looked at it in enough detail to know that if Van Dijk, Matip, Alisson, Trent, and Robertson have been on the pitch and conceded a number of goals, or whether they've been keeping clean sheets and they're rolling in the second team.
They do have mistakes in them.
Yeah, and the lack of a CDM, like the lack of Fabinho and Jordan Henderson, does give me some hope in
Jordan Henderson.
It's just less protection for their back four. I don't know who they've got that's protecting their back four, and I think they will have to go all guns blazing trying to outscore us rather than a cagey game and they'll nick a goal.
But is that not the same for both teams?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I don't think their forwards are better than ours, so I do edge it towards Liverpool, like you say, but that's the most optimistic that I could be as a 2-2, I think, at this point.
Fair. Right. Well, in that case, I will let you sign off the podcast as you're the one on the screen.
That's all, folks. See you next time. Like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. And enjoy your weekend, and let's hope Chelsea fucking win.
Yeah, fair. Amen.